Good, Jeff. That beige windbreaker's really lighting up my board.
Oh.
Do you know what I mean by vagina?
God, that woman is a fucking cancer.
Bye, Jeff.
Oh God, here comes that weird little stay-at-home mom.
What the fuck is she wearing?
Hi, guys. Maddie was up all night barfing on my hair, but it's great. I'm very happy.
Gross, I think she just got her sadness all over me.
Here comes Amy.
Just don't know how you leave your kids all day and go to work.
Oh, yeah, but I also need things like money.
Right.
I'll see you guys later.
Just love how hard she works.
Such a hard worker.
I just said that, Vicky.
Got 4 minutes to get Roscoe to the vet, which should be fine.
You're super late for your marketing meeting.
I can't believe I'm gonna be late to my first soccer practice.
You having a bad day?
It literally could not get any worse.
Damn.
I called this emergency PTA meeting to address an issue that affects the safety of our children.
Terrorism.
The bake sale.
Is this a joke?
What's that now?
I can't do this anymore. I'm done.
In this day and age, it's impossible to be a good mom.
Screw it. Let's be bad moms.
I'm in to bad mom. Get your shit together.
Amy, hi.
I was calling to see if you'd like to join me at the movies this afternoon.
Are we allowed to do that? This has literally been the best day of my life.
Have a great day at school.
Hey, Amy, PTA meeting at 2. Will we see you there?
No.
Bye.
Amy, I run the PTA. Nobody takes a class, kicks a ball, or plays a clarinet unless I say so.
She's a bully. We have to take down these perfect moms.
I say we go punch that chick right in the tits.
Yes.
This is the best PTA meeting ever.
I haven't had sex since my divorce. What if I get someone who's not circumcised?
Oh, I'll show you. This is the foreskin. Peel it back. You just go to town.
What do I do with this?
This is like a giant man clit. Flick it, stick your fucking face on it. It's gonna be like.
I'm not gonna wear this sweatshirt ever again.
Holy fuck! Look at your mom bra.
This is my sexy bra.
You don't even have any cleavage.
Is it bulletproof?
Definitely waterproof.
Isn't that bad?
Good move.
You guys, it's so comfortable.
There it is. A little more of that, guys. Mila Kunis is here. And she's here with what I think is the best comedy of the year.
You're so
Congratulations.
sweet. Thank you.
I'm not being sweet. I laughed my ass off. And as I said yesterday, for people who were here for Catherine and Annie, I teared up a little at the end.
Yeah. Oh, I know you guys said Catherine and Annie. I was like, what? I can't. Yeah, they're awesome. This movie is so great and so funny. And if it wasn't, I promise you, I wouldn't be here. Because I don't want to be away from my kid. Like, it's one of those things where I'm promoting a movie, and if I didn't love it, I wouldn't do it.
You'd be like, sorry, guys, good luck. I got a
I'd
kid
be
to
like,
take
oh, I
care
have a
of."
baby. And it's a solid excuse for a lot of things in life. Oh, I can't go to dinner. It's my baby. And people
It's
are
better
like,
than a dog. I know people who use the dog excuse. Sorry, I
baby
gotta
works
go
every
walk the
time.
dog.
Nobody can argue that. You're like, oh, the sitter dropped out. And they're like, oh, totally. No sitter.
Totally.
Just didn't want to
I'll
go.
just drink by myself. See you later. Yeah. So talk to me about how this movie came to you. You're essentially a new mother, I imagine, when you started shooting this, or maybe when you agreed to shoot it.
Kind of. So it all kind of happened very serendipitously. So this is the only movie that I did between baby 1 and 2. So I never gave myself a timeline. I said I'm going to go back to work as far as acting is concerned when I'm ready, when I find the right project, when the time is right.
Because you have Family Guy, and you have,
I Family Guy. I have a production company at ABC for TV, and I go to work every day. But doing a film is like 17 hours a day, 6 days a week, out of town for months on end, and you really do miss chunks of your kid's life. So I was like, I don't know when that's gonna be, and everybody was super supportive. A girlfriend of mine handed me a script when Wyatt was about three months old, and was like, here's just a funny script I read. It's got an amazing cast. I think you'll just find it fun. So I kind of just read it as a book. And it was Bad Moms, and it had a completely different cast. And
none of the people that you're in the movie with now?
Nobody. And I was like, wow, this is a really great movie. Like, I can't wait to see it. And that's it. 8 months later, it came to me as a project, and it just kind of, everything shifted, location changed. It was just, the timing was different. And they're like, would you want to be a part of it? And I was like, absolutely. And it was just the right timing.
It's the kind of movie that I feel like as an actress and then as a mother and an actress would rarely ever come along. It's a huge rarity.
It never comes along. It's so unfortunate of how little of female-driven films get made. Forget comedy, drama, just female-driven. It's so unfortunate because you have like a female comedy that does well, and people are like, "Wow, women don't suck." and then you have a comedy that fails, and they're
I always
like,
need to be reminded. I go.
by the way, apparently so does everyone in this industry. But if one female comedy doesn't exceed expectation, everybody goes, well, we knew that was going to happen. But you have a male-driven comedy, failure or success, it doesn't matter. Nobody looks at it as like men suck or men are awesome. So I think that it's a little bit of an uphill battle for sure.
That's why Ghostbusters last week was such a big event, not just because it's comedy, but
I love Ghostbusters, but the idea of an all-female Ghostbusters, I desperately just wanted to succeed, just to prove every hater wrong.
And it's strange, we had Annie Mumolo yesterday, who one of the co-writer of Bridesmaids, and I even said this to you in the green room, and I said it to her, I think this is going to be this year's Bridesmaids, but then I think for a second, Bridesmaids was like 5 years ago at this point, and I don't have another reference point in the last 5 years to think of like an extremely successful female-driven comedy.
That's like an ensemble. That's because they don't get made. I'm so grateful for STX. That's the company that made this movie and believed in it and actually gave us a decent budget and didn't kind of shove it off, to the side. They don't get made. They really don't. Because people look at it as an anomaly. They're like, Bridesmaids was like a unicorn movie. And you're like, no, it wasn't. Like, women are funny.
And, well, every successful movie is an anomaly. Like, no matter what genre, whatever you are, a massively successful movie is an anomaly. That's not the norm. So to be like, if we have one successful female movie and be like, that's an anomaly, and it's like...
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If it's male-driven, it's just a movie. Right. But if it's a female-driven, well, then it's a female-driven. There's always like a connotation before.
Are those barriers that you've been trying to break in your production company as well as an actress at this point? Is that something that you're regularly conscious of when you're trying to create material or generate material?
It's definitely something that I'm a little more sensitive to, for sure. Like, I'm more inclined to nurture a young female writer. And I don't write, I don't direct, but I love producing. And you realize in television, you look at a writer's room and there'll be 10 male writers and maybe 1 to 2 female writers in any given room, and that's it. So the ratios are very, very off.
When did you decide that you wanted to produce? We'll talk a lot about the movie in a second, but now I'm kind of curious about this track.
When my husband and I decided we were going to start a family, he kind of compares me to our dogs in the sense of, wait for it, guys. It's actually cute, I promise. Where if my dogs don't go for a walk, they go stir crazy. And if I don't work, I go stir crazy. Like, I genuinely love to work. I love having that fulfillment in whatever facet it's in. And so when we decided to start a family, I knew that I was never going to go back to acting in the same way that I was in the 20s, where I traveled nonstop and didn't matter what country I was in, didn't matter the hours. Life was just very different. And so I grew up on television. I grew up in television. I have been on Fox for 20 years. Maybe not that much, maybe like 16 years. But I know TV. Like, I know TV, like I know the back of my hand. And so I was like, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna go into producing television. And then you just fake it till you make it. Like, it's one of those where you kind of are like, all right, I'm just gonna do it. And then you just hope that you surround yourself with people that are, which is kind of like my motto for life, just surround yourself with people that are smarter and better than you and learn from them and let them do their job.
So when you sign on to a movie like this and the script is already, so great when it's handed to you.
The script is amazing.
Do you turn your producer brain off? Do you know how to turn it off? Or do you sort of still try to help as a producer a little bit?
It's so funny because this movie was very lucky. It did have an amazing female producer. Suzanne Todd produced it. And it was one of those opportunities where I actually was like, I'm just going to sit back and learn. I have no ego. I don't think I know everything. I know enough to know when I should be quiet. And so, there's times where like, yeah, sometimes it's hard to turn it off because you want to be like, but sometimes you're like, you know what, let me see what happens because clearly they know what they're doing.
Now, one of the things that I love about this film is that, the hook is bad moms, and from the trailer you get the sense that we're going to see some moms getting drunk and partying, but what the movie is really about in many ways is the societal pressure that moms feel to not be bad, be it a drunk mom or be it a mother who missed a baseball game or something. And I love that. And I'm wondering, as you got the movie, made the movie in between your two births. Yeah. Did you have these fears going into the film? Did you have the fear of being a bad mom, be it the mom that misses a game or misses something else minor?
Oh my God, there's a reason why I only did one movie. Yeah. Yeah, it's the guilt that you put on yourself. First of all, I don't know if you, I'm not gonna say women versus men, but I know that I as a woman put so much pressure on myself to have everything figured out. Whether it's my job, my family, my child now, anything in my life, you put so much pressure to make sure everything is as perfect as you can make it be, and you inevitably put yourself last. And so add to that being a mother, you put so much pressure on yourself to make sure that your kid has everything, that everything is balanced, that your work is balanced with your life, that inevitably what you learn is there is no such thing as balance. There just isn't. And you have to come to terms with knowing that it's okay that something's gonna fall by the wayside a little bit, and then you come back to it and you hope to balance it back up a little bit. But it's never gonna be even. It always goes up and down. So it did take me a while to kind of come to terms with it, but I battled the guilt of being away from my kid every day. Being here for 3 days is the hardest 3 days. You just have to make sure it's worth it. Somewhere in your mind, you're like, this has to be worth being away from my child.
That's a lot of pressure on me now, Mila. Thank you. I'm trying
You're
to
welcome,
make it worth
AOL. No pressure, AOL Live.
Well, that's interesting that you talk about the sort of female need to make something perfect and the pressure to make something perfect, because I think that extends beyond motherhood, and that's something that is talked about in the film a little bit, which is male entitlement, and being a boy that grows up with a mother that takes care of everything for them and becomes a man who feels entitled. I think in many ways of relationships that I've been in where women are trying to make things perfect, and me as a man don't worry about it. It's gonna be fine. It's because I grew up with a mother who just took care of everything.
She made sure everything was fine.
And that's so interesting that I thought that the movie even touched on that as well, a certain amount of male entitlement. It really tried to address the pressures that mothers feel, be it as being a good mother or just as a woman.
Yeah, it's true. You just want to take care of everything. I think innately in us, as Neanderthals even, we just constantly were the nurturers. The men hunted and gathered, and the women made sure that everything was, I think it's just in our blood.
Was that something that sort of shocked you when you read the script, that it sort of went that deep?
No, it's the one thing that I gravitated towards. I mean, it's, my character in the film has 2 kids that are 12 and 13, so my character gets married very young and has a child, her first kid at 18, her second kid at 19. So the kids are pseudo baby teenagers. But the one thing that I related to the most was that, I have a fear, I don't know if this word is appropriate for AOL, but I have a fear of raising a kid who's gonna be an a-hole.
You can swear.
I would never swear. I already got in trouble for swearing earlier today. I really don't want an a-hole for, just in case my parents are watching AOL Live. I don't want to be the person who's responsible for putting that into the world. And so, my one thing that I always said is I just want my children to have empathy in life. I want my kids to be good kids. That's all I ever want. And I think that that's the one thing that I so relate to with this character, because it's the realization that she comes to pretty early on in the film is just how entitled her kids are, merely because she wanted everything to be perfect, and it backfires. All it does is cause entitlement.
Is that something that you're even extra careful about, considering the industry that you work in, and so much of the industry is unfortunately, I don't want to judge the industry, but kind of entitled.
It's okay, you can judge.
I'm not judging, but you know what I mean. If you're a working actor or actress who's doing really well, you can have people taking care of things for you a lot of the time. And if your child sees that, could see a certain level of entitlement there.
100%. My kid will never know what it's like to not have fresh fruit. My kid will never know what it's like to not have electricity. My kid will never know what it's like to have to put a shoe on with a hole in it. I grew up knowing very well what the other side is. So what I have in my life, have worked my butt off for.
Starting at a really early age as well.
Yeah, at a very early age. And so what I do have, I earned. Very much so by myself. And so, you know, my kids they'll never know. They grew up in LA. They're gonna grow up with a backyard. I didn't grow up with a backyard. They're gonna grow up with television. I grew up with a black and white TV that you still had to click. They're gonna grow up with Pokemon Go and phones. And I mean, it's an insane amount of access that they're gonna have. And so I constantly battle, aside from the fact that they're gonna have parents who have weird jobs, I constantly battle with the idea that my kids is gonna be like, I want.
And then you probably also have that fear that you're gonna be a mother who's consistently going, now when I was a kid, I had this.
Oh my God,
I
it's
had
already,
that.
yes. So I figure I'm just gonna lie. Like, I feel like that's gonna be my tactic until.
We can't afford it.
Exactly. Until the kids are old enough to like search on the internet, which I feel like I can buy myself a couple of years. I'm just gonna go, mommy and daddy are poor. And they're just gonna have to suck it up because too bad. That's how I grew up, except we were poor, but it worked. I learned at a very early age to not say the word want. That was out of my vocabulary. It just didn't exist. And so I'm hoping that, you know, Wyatt one day will learn that the word want is not necessary.
Now, you said that, going back to the film, you said that when you signed on, it was a completely different cast than originally had been brought to you. Were you the first to sign on of the new cast? Did you work on sort of assembling the cast with the director?
Yeah, it was great. The
cast is pitch perfect, I have to tell you. It is, everybody plays their role beautifully.
When I tell you guys this movie's great, it's phenomenal. The women in it are so wonderful, so funny, amazing human beings, but incredible actresses. And are much funnier than I am. And I was so happy and so lucky to go to work every day with them. It was amazing. Yes, the directors and the producers included me in the casting process of it just because I was so early on. So it worked out really well. They have amazing taste.
So how did that work? Is that like chemistry tests?
No. They would just run names by me, and every name I was like, yeah, they sound great. Because everything I was like, wow, we're gonna get these. Like Catherine Hahn, they were like, what do you think of Catherine Hahn? And I was like, she's not doing it. Like I was convinced that these people would never do this movie. I was like, they're not gonna do this movie.
Catherine Hahn, comic genius. How are we gonna get her? Yeah.
Exactly. And then it comes back with she's interested, and I was like, shut up. Like every time somebody was interested, I was like, no way. Like it was so great to see people do this movie for the right reasons.
And Christina Applegate is amazing in the film. I don't think we've ever seen her play that uptight and that wound up. The movie really won me over for her PTA TED Talk. When that scene started and just the image of it, I was like, oh, I like where this movie's coming from. This is great.
Her doing that made me laugh. We shot her POV first. And thank God, it was like, you know, half a day of her, half a day of me. And I laughed every single take. Like I literally was, at one point I was like, my back was just turned to her because I was like, I can't keep it together. She's one of the funniest improv actresses I've ever worked with.
Do you improvise a lot? Do you have experience with improvisation? I mean,
I fake it. You know,
70s show, but that's a sitcom, so I'd imagine
you stick to the script on a sitcom.
To the script. And Family Guy's animated, so you probably stick to the script a little bit.
Stick to the script.
So where did you sort of develop improv chops going into working with people like Catherine and Christina?
Sarah Marshall was the first time with Judd Apatow, where I was like, oh, I can just talk. I was like, this is great. So you kind of learn how to talk and talk and talk and talk and talk, and you hope that some of it sticks.
So did you guys do that with this film, or did you mainly stick to the script?
The script was actually really great. Like we did the script, we did rehearsals, we did our tweaks and our rewrites during rehearsals, and by the time we started shooting, I would say it was pretty spot on. You know, John and Scott would sometimes yell out different lines, like different punchlines, but otherwise it was pretty similar. Catherine always goes on pretty great rants, though. When you let Catherine loose, it's pretty great.
We see it in the trailer, so I don't think it's going to be too much of a spoiler, but the non-circumcised penis scene is
correct.
Absolutely hilarious.
Yes.
I'm dying during that scene. Can you talk about shooting that and where that came from?
Yeah. So, hey, Mom.
Just don't say asshole and you're fine.
You said it.
Sorry.
Where did
Sorry,
that scene
Mom.
come from? I'll tell you. So the story is that the original scene was supposed to be a pseudo-stereotypical girls get ready to go out where like they find a dress and they're like, oh my God, let's cut the dress. And now it's all of a sudden like a hot dress and they do the hair. And I spoke to John and Scott on the phone and I was like, that's not what happens. And when I was single, I wasn't so concerned about my sexy dress. I was more concerned about different penises. Like what on earth do you do with things that you haven't seen in, my character's been in a marriage for 10 years. She's used to one human. And all of a sudden, there's a plethora of new men. And I was like, keep in mind, that's probably going to be the one thing that's always in the back of your head when you are, in a very long relationship and just got out of one. And so they took that comment, and boy, did they run with it. And then they created a scene where poor Kristen Bell becomes a penis.
Who's so great in the movie as well. She has a wonderful
She's
arc.
unbelievable. Like, she's truly one of the funniest people ever. Straight face funny. I think when I say something funny, I literally go, that was funny. Like K Bell is just one of the funniest people.
I really can't stress enough how pitch perfect everybody is in this film. Jada Pinkett Smith is also really
Amazing
great.
in it.
The actor who plays your husband is like pretty perfect.
I know, and he had to play not the nicest character, and he did.
Excuse me.
Mom.
Again.
He was great to work with, by the way. I was a huge fan of his to begin with, but he got the short end of the stick as far as likability.
Let's open it up to the audience for some questions. Who has a question out there?
Hello, thanks for being here. I'm so excited to see the movie. So being a new mother and filming this movie, were you kind of nervous in some parts of the movie filming it? Just because since you're a new mother and...
Oh, my daughter's gonna see it? I've done way worse. Yeah. If you've seen the films I've done, this is the least of her problems in the future. What did mommy do in her 20s? It's one of those things where I'm proud of the movie, and she's not gonna see it for a very long time. And hopefully when she sees it, the idea of the raunchiness of this movie will be super dated, and there'll be a whole new version of raunchiness.
Next question.
Hi, Mila, over here. I'm a huge fan of yours, and I think we all kind of know you mostly for your comedic roles. So how do you prepare for a comedic role versus like a more serious role like you did in Black Swan?
No difference. There's really no difference. The only thing I can say is like when you do something like Black Swan or even something like a Jupiter Ascending type of movie, you just do a little bit more physical training. That's pretty much the difference is the physical aspect of it. Because you just want to have the endurance to be able to sustain your energy for whether it be a 9-month-long production for 17-hour workdays or to hang off wires or to fake being a ballerina. But it's just all physical. But as far as like preparation as an actress, it's 100% the same.
Was Jupiter Ascending 9 months, 17 hours a day, essentially?
It was like 7 to 8 months. We started in January and we've wrapped end of August. And you do stunts every day. So every day at one point throughout the day, at any given moment, you're hanging on a wire for 5 hours. And so you just need to have the stamina to keep going. 17 hours for sure.
There's some actors who finish that and want to continue doing that and be
I'm not that
all the time.
actress.
Did you finish that job and were essentially like, did my action movie, I don't know if I want to do that again?
I have so much more respect for Jason Statham. I had a great partner in crime. His name is, you may have heard of him, Channing Tatum, ladies. Such a cop-out to get claps. I mean, Channing Tatum. I mean, it's just so easy.
Man is funny. He can dance.
He can do everything.
He does
it's
everything.
Gross. It's
I'm jealous
gross.
of Channing Tatum. I'm
very
jealous.
Disgusting. And he's nice, so yuck.
Like, come on. At least be a jerk.
I know. Great family. Ugh. He's great. And it was just him and I in a wire for it was hard. It really was hard.
I think we have time for one more question.
Hi, Mia. How'd you get involved with the Jim Beam Company? Because the commercials are great on TV.
Good question. Jim Beam, everybody. How'd I get involved? I was interested in doing a brown spirit company, like a bourbon, a whiskey type of company. I saw that there was like an opening for a female to do that. And I partnered up with Jim Beam to do it with them. They're, incredibly collaborative, incredibly supportive. Though they're a pretty big company, they ran like a family-owned company, which I was very much drawn to. I love Fred, who's, the great-great-great-great-grandson of Jim Beam, who's still a part of it and helps run it. I love the idea of working with them, truthfully. And it's been an amazing collaboration.
Mila, I think I have to let you go. I want to say congratulations on, again, what I think is the best comedy of the year.
Thank you.
It's really an incredible achievement. It comes out next Friday, right?
Yes, everybody go see it.
July 29th. Go see Bad Moms, guys. It's fantastic. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you.